guys doing?
What can you say about Gabe Akis' performance and how that impacted the game?
Yeah, well, Gabe Akis had obviously a phenomenal game. You know, that was our expectation of Gabe. You know, he just went out there and did what he was capable of doing. You know, he showed signs of that throughout early in the season, and that was just an opportunity for him to capitalize on everything that he's throughout his career. You know, we've always been kind of expecting those games from him, and to see him have it against the opponent we played was pretty special.
It was quite a response, Aaron. So what kind of went into that? What stood out to you about whether it was the matchup? I know it was different than what you faced before, but what stood out to you about the execution?
In the words of Kirk Cousins, right? You like that? No, but in all seriousness, you know, like I told you guys it last week. I put all that blame on myself, you know, and I could have did a better job in preparing our young men the right way in terms of the second half, you know, and I could have made some adjustments a little better, and I thought that we did that as a staff. I thought that I did that as a coach, obviously, and I thought that they responded extremely well. And so it was a great opportunity for this university, a great opportunity for our young men just to see how they responded. And I just think, you know, like when you come to a place like this, I know there isn't a lot of expectation to go out there and then do some of the things we've done thus far, but we want that to become the standard. We want that to become like how we're trying to build this place and how we're trying to do things. And which brings me to my next point, right? Like, Michigan was awesome. Playing Michigan, anytime you play Michigan, it's absolutely incredible. You know, and it was a great opportunity for our coaching staff, for our players. Obviously, you guys know what that victory meant to coach. You know, I've been fortunate enough because I've been able to. I sat in those same seats. You know, as a player, hearing him tell that story. You know, so that game always had a little something around it, you know, in that regard. And so just really excited for him in this university. But more importantly, like we got a huge test in front of us, right? Like a massive test in the Oregon Ducks, and they are talented everywhere on the field, right? Like I wish, you know, a lot of times you can pinpoint and go into a game, you know, where you think you can take advantage of them here or there. And I mean, this team is well balanced. They run the ball at a high clip. They throw it at a high clip. The quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, he does a tremendous job in managing that offense. And, you know, he is, I'm sure he's probably being talked about in regards to the Heisman for a reason. Like, he's put up some ridiculous numbers against some really good opponents. And, you know, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for our players, for our staff, for this university. But it's not so often that you get the chance to play the #1 team in the country on the road, you know, and so we're really, really looking forward to that here at the University of Illinois.
Does Dylan Gabriel have the most complete skill set of any quarterback he faced this year so far? What are some challenges in slowing him down?
I think part of the challenge is the guys he's throwing to. You know, the guys he's throwing to, I mean, any one of those guys can beat you, right? You had to see a lot of teams play him one-on-one for various reasons, right? I think Ohio State did a little bit, and I mean they win one-on-one matchups at a very, very, very high rate, you know. And so, I mean, is he the most talented quarterback we've probably seen? Probably so, you know. And it's not just because of his skill set. I think it's a combination of what he can do in the pocket, what he can do when he leaves the pocket, the player who he's handing the ball off to, and the guys who he's throwing the ball to. And so he is elite, right? That gotta be an NFL quarterback for sure, right? Maybe a first rounder, but the guys around him are just as talented, you know. And so that's a good offense. They got a tremendous offense, and they do a good job. And I think Will Stein does a great job at getting his playmakers the ball and putting his quarterback in advantageous positions to have success on early downs, which, you know, can get them to some third down areas. But they are explosive, probably the most explosive offense I probably had a chance to go against. You know, I can remember we played Oregon back in 2000, and I think it was 10 or 11 when I was at Wisconsin with Coach, and they were explosive then, and they're probably just as, or probably more explosive now, you know. So a lot of things hadn't changed in regards to them being explosive.
And you talked last week about kind of remembering to do what got you guys to this point, and Dylan kind of indicated as well, like, just simplify things last week. Like, what's the process for you guys to just kind of dial it back and go back to some of those simple basics?
Yeah, I think part of it is, right, like, you know, when you talk about simplicity, I think and I told you guys this, right, coming off the bye week, I think sometimes you can overthink things, and you can, I guess try to use your coaching mechanics and your coaching degree to kind of hopefully put your players in advantageous positions to be successful, but that's not true. Yeah, I think you can have schemes and you can have a schematic advantage based on something you see that can help them, but it just boils down to those guys flying around and seeing things a lot faster because there's simplicity in the call, because a call isn't allowing them to have a check or two in it, which is going to slow them down, right? If they're waiting to see a picture or the location of a back, you know what I'm saying? And so just trying to make it, you know, I think especially going into last week, that was just, again, right? You try to go into those games and you try to figure out like what's the advantage against a really, really good team to kind of help your players. And I can remember Dave Huxtable telling me this at NC State. All right, and he would always say, "You guys are the magic. It ain't no call, right? It ain't nothing that on that call sheet that if it's not properly executed, it's you guys who make the magic, right? You guys are the special in that." And I think a result of that is, those calls that we ran Saturday were as routine comes, right? That was probably the smallest call sheet I ever had since I've been here. You're talking about like 2 calls on early downs, maybe 3, right? Did a couple of things on third downs, but relatively small play call sheet, you know, and that you had a chance to see him fly around and solve some problems and take the ball away, and it was good for us. So the plan is to continue to roll in that manner, right, and just really teaching them the game and how teams are trying to attack us, and hopefully we can have an advantage in that department.
You mentioned taking the ball away. I don't know if you can always count on 3 takeaways, but how did you go from maybe what Matthew Bailey said was kind of reemphasizing the importance to making it happen on the field?
Well, I think that part of it is, like the goal is to try to get him every game. And, the Penn State game, we had an opportunity and they said his knee was down. And then, even going to the Purdue game, right, they had, I think they had 28 points, right towards the latter part of the game. And Dylan had a chance to pick the ball off. Matt had a chance to pick the ball off, and they fell short and they ended up dropping the ball. And that's something that we emphasize. And I think this week they were capitalizing on those opportunities. And so again, like maybe, in my mind as a coach, maybe the week before I had too much in that made him think that didn't allow that young man to be as confident as he typically is, right? That could put him in a position to make that play.
Coach,
right? And so those are the things that go in the back of my mind in terms of allowing him to be successful in taking the ball away. And so, we always have a takeaway circuit and a tackling circuit every week, and we try to mix it up in terms of we got like 7 or 8 different drills we do in terms of our takeaway circuit, and we try to rotate 3 every week and just try to see what a team kind of exposes themselves on, and we try to put that into drills and watch those drills come to life and just show them real life clips of guys exposing the ball. And you saw Gabe have one, you saw Matt have one, a forced fumble. We were able to show them some clips prior to that and how guys are going to expose the ball, and I think they were using their God-given ability, and I think it was just a reminder for them to, always try to get the football.
You worked with Coach B before he had kids. Now he's got kids. You see a difference? Is he the same guy? Tell me, how is it different?
Same guy? Hell no, he's not the same guy. Not at all, right? Coach was 34, 35 years old,
right,
young and single at the time, right? Living in Madison, Wisconsin, right? So no, he's not the same guy. He obviously has a lot more experience. He's completely different, and I think just his approach, he had a chance to be under some really good coaches, right? From the time he was a young head coach up until now. I just think he's at a different area in his career. He has 2 beautiful girls. He's married, right? Beautiful wife. And I just think he's just at a different stage in his life. Now his work ethic had not changed.
Okay.
He still has that, some will call it insane or crazy work ethic, right? I want to go on record and say Coach B's probably the hardest working human being I've ever been around. When I tell you, he's gonna work to the end to get this place to where it's capable of being, right? And when I tell you, not sleeping, when I tell you, just the details in which he puts into we can have a 30-minute staff meeting. It's never 30 minutes. It's always much longer than that. But we can have a 30-minute staff meeting, and he has these sheets called yellow sheets, and there are details from an academic approach in regards to our players, to nutrition, to we got to make sure that the offensive side of the ball talks to the defensive side, or this specific player on defense. The defensive side of the ball talks to this specific player. Like, he's so detailed in that manner, and I think that's what makes him a special coach, because what the untrained eye typically has a tendency to not focus on, like, he really hones in on it. And then you add that to the level of detail in which you talk about studying an opponent, right? And just from from my standpoint, it's like great insight, because he's always just like a step ahead, and he can give me feedback, right? Like 2 weeks ago in the Purdue game, right? Like, he called it. Coach said, like, they're going for 2, right? And I had 4 calls on my call sheet prior to him telling me that they're going to go for 2 if they score. Well, as soon as he said that, before they scored, I narrowed those calls down from 4 to 2, right? And then I really honed in. As soon as it happened, I knew exactly which call I wanted to go to, as opposed to trying to choose from those 4 calls in that situation. Like, it truly allows you as a young coordinator in this profession to have that insight on the sideline from an overall coaching perspective, specifically from a defensive standpoint. It's like, dude, I was talking to Brad Nessler before the Michigan game. It's like gold. It's gold for me as a young coach, because I don't know if I would get that anywhere else, being that I played for the guy, right? So it always comes from a place of love, and you can see like his passion. You can see his influence in our players. And you know, I was thinking about this like a couple days ago, right? I'm outside of Mark T, right? I'm probably the longest tenured person that has been with Coach. I think it's like 13 years, 14 years, something like that. And so there's just a level of love and respect for each other. And I've been knowing Coach since I was 16 years old, you know. And so, like, just to be in these positions with them, right? They're like, those are some things that I take very, very sacred. And I'm just excited to be on this journey with them, because, you know, it's not too often that you get the chance to play the #1 team in the country.
Last one here for Coach Henry.
Zeke got the start this week. Sabor and Malachi got on that one sub package you brought in. What did you stood out about those guys, and how they earned those spots?
Yeah, I think part of it is, right, you start to get this part in the season, you know, you just try to give guys a role. They had a role obviously coming into the season, but you start to get to this part in the season where guys are taking a lot of reps, a lot of your main guys, and like, how can you supplement some of those reps for them and just help other areas of your roster with talented guys. And so, you know, we were just trying to get a little more speed on the field and trying to do some different things in our third down package, specifically in regards to Malachi and Sabor. And I just thought they just created some value in that standpoint, because they're long and they run well, right? And so we came up with a package, right, for our third down study, and the young man really took heed to it. Like, it's so cool to see a young player who may not be featured in a primary package, but you give him a role in a secondary package or a third down package, and now, I mean, he's like salivating at the mouth for that opportunity. It's funny you say that, because the night before the game, Coach says, Malachi, what package are you waiting for? And Malachi says the package name, because the rest of the team didn't know, right? The offense didn't know that Malachi was going to get in on this specific package on third down. It's just so cool. Coach said that in the meeting. Lo and behold, he gets a freaking fumble recovery. All right, like I'm so excited about that young man, because like, he has some really good players ahead of him. He could complain, he could pout, he could, I want to use some other terms, but he could do a lot of things. But what he chooses to do is he chooses to believe in his coaches, right? And I know it's hard for him because he's competitive, right? He chooses to believe in his coaches. He chooses to buy into what we're telling him in the program. And every day he shows up. He shows up. That dude, don't happy or sad, he got the same look on his face. It's pretty cool, right? Like he's never up or down. But just to see the detail in which he took that assignment, right, and kind of elevated it, right, it's only gonna allow him to continue to grow and be featured on more stuff, right? Zeke had a chance to get the start, right? That's a testament to Coach J-Bo, right? Coach Jamison, we put a couple things in in our early down package, and Coach J-Mo like hit his head on the table in regards to Zeke starting, and he got him prepared, and Zeke did some great things. Zeke blocked the field goal. Zeke was a problem down there in the inside, and it was so cool to see because, right, like Zeke has been a guy who's been around here a while, and obviously he's in his 7th year, and just to see him have the success he had this past week, we're really looking forward to more of that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.